welcome to the channel. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Now join me in today's video where I will be reviewing my most craziest watch that I've ever reviewed, and it is of course from Ciga Design. I showed you this watch briefly in the unboxing. Now Ciga Design, they are full of accolades. They've got multiple Red Dot Design Awards, multiple German awards, and it's like I always say, if you can't get Swiss accreditation, always go German. That's the second best thing. So with Ciga Design, they've got a bunch of designers, and I said in the unboxing, they all look quite balmy, and that definitely translates across in their design. Now, it's their Chinese equivalent to Jacob & Co. It's definitely going to be a statement piece. It's definitely going to be for the guys that have a massive collection, or, you've got watches that you can wear on a daily basis, and you want something which is going to give it a bit of a statement, or it's going to get a reaction. Because as far as practicality goes, and that's the first thing I want to talk about, legibility is definitely a serious issue. You cannot see where the hands are. Now, if I put the hands in, that traditional position of 10 past 10, or, whatever, 10 to 2, sorry, at certain points, you just will not see the handset, especially if I put it at, let's say, I don't know, 5 to 5 as well. So, throughout the day at various positions, you will not see those hands. So that's something either they've missed or they've intentionally wanted that. Aside from that, the biggest USP of this watch is the fact that it's construction around it, and this is one for those guys that love looking at engineering marvels. Someone like myself, I could see myself having this. They've given it to me for free, so I've got it, where you just look at the inner workings. It's definitely a great tool, as an educational tool as well. If you got any young curious children about you that really want to have a look at how all these cogs work, how all the pieces fit, and you can really start to appreciate how far the designers went, and even on the manufacturing side of things, how precise you will have to be in order to get this. You can see that floating chassis design, which I absolutely love in this case, hanging in the center, amongst that X-frame chassis that you see, all the parts that fit around it. It's a high beat movement as well, so it gives you some of that luxurious sweeping seconds that you can see in the center, and everything just fits. It's built for purpose. I totally get it, but as I said, there's too much maybe practicality taken away from it for you to wear this on a daily basis. Now, what I'm going to do is give you all the technical stats and specs, etc., before I go on to the review, because I've got all the cases laid out in front of me. The watch head itself is around 42 millimeters with a thickness of 11 millimeters, which it doesn't seem so, right? It seems quite thick, but on the caliper it is 11 millimeters. Now, I've got 3 cases in front of me that you can interchange this with, and I've placed them smallest to biggest. So the circular case, you've got a diameter of 45 millimeters with a lug to lug of 49 millimeters. And the overall weight with everything applied, the strap, the watch head, and this case is going to bring it down to 103 grams, which is not a lot of weight if you think about it, just with a watch case. The second one is this square case. The weight goes to 109 grams, but you've got a 44.5 millimeter diameter with a 49 millimeter lug to lug. And then we have the last case, which is probably the biggest case, with the most angles. It's been machined extremely well. You can just see all these different facets and angles sticking out of it, all these engravings. Quite an edgy case in terms of the shape, not in terms of actual feel. It has been machined excellently, but yeah, that is at 46 millimeters in diameter and a 52 millimeter lug to lug, so quite a oversized watch. I mean, the other 2 cases you can just about pull off, but this one is by far the biggest, and overall weight will be 113 grams, which isn't a lot. Now, while we've got the watch here, let's have a quick look at the movement. So on previous Ciga Design watches, especially the Z series, which I have with me today, so I'll show that at the end of the video, they do declare they use a seagull movement, and that was a low beat movement. So this one, looking at the rotor, I'm assuming it might be another seagull, but this one is a high beat movement. It's 28,800 vibrations per hour, and I stuck this on the time grapher briefly, and the readings I was getting were quite stable and quite accurate. I was getting plus 8 seconds, and also had a 0 beat error, and a very healthy amplitude of plus 300 degrees. So the movement is, quite solid. It's performing well. In terms of reliability, if it is the ST2130, I believe they do have a couple of issues, none that I can remember, but I remember checking them out back in the day and reading all that. But here we go, the Ciga Design M series. Now, this is on Indigogo, and as I mentioned in unboxing, I don't really have a price, but I did get in touch with the head of press release, and she did tell me it's going to be just under $600 for the stainless steel version, which is about £500. And that's the early bird price. Now, they are also looking at releasing a pure titanium version, which is going to be quite a bit more, I'd assume. So, you know, those are your prices that you're working at. So for £500, you do get a hell of a lot. You get, you know, all the awards and the accolades that come with this as well, all the design ingenuity behind it, and 3 different cases. So it's not going to be for maybe most of you subscribers out there. It's not going to be for your normal watch collector. It is going to be for somebody who is slightly more eccentric in their watch collections, and definitely something which you're going to take out and about for other people to maybe ask questions. But yeah, even now I don't know what time it really is. Let me just find the hands. Okay, so we're looking at 2:37. But now let's look at the smaller details. So you do have a bezel on the case. Now the bezel is fixed, and I really would have loved to see a rotating bezel. It would have added another mechanism right to the watch. It would have been nice to see how well they do mechanically with bezels. But you've got all the individual markers. So in terms of setting the hands, you will definitely be able to set the right time due to all the markers that you see here. Now the center is an X-frame construction. We have seen that on the previous Gorilla series, if I'm not mistaken, and everything is just so beautifully laid out. You got that central second hand which is just rotating. It is a wheel, a cog, and really does wonders for the aesthetic. You've got 3 lines in there, so sort of like a little mini turbine, if you will, and you've got these cutouts and engravings to give you that blended in aesthetic. But yeah, you've got 6 screws on either side. They don't look to be fake, real screws on there. The crown itself is gorgeous. You got a Ciga in the center. Just look at that machining on there, fully brushed, very nice to hold, and it is a decent crown. That gives it some functionality, I suppose. You got Ciga Design to your 3 o'clock into that metal, and that does look good. So like I said before, this is definitely a novelty item that you'd want to have in your collection, that you can maybe show off and just really show lots of different people what this is all about. So let's start putting on some cases. So this is the first case, the round case, and just slot straight on. I showed you this in the unboxing, and I really like that thought gone into this. They haven't put any screws etc that you got to take out. It just goes in straight away, right, which is what you exactly want. In terms of alignment and fit, it's just perfectly made. As I said, very precise. That is something you definitely have to appreciate. You've got a sapphire crystal on the top, a round sapphire crystal, and underneath the crystal is mineral, as I've checked earlier on. And the water resistance is 3 ATM, so around 30 meters. So this case does kind of complete it, the watch. The round case, I think, looks quite good. It just gives it a bit more finishing around the outer side of the watch, and that is a good fit. Now let's take this off, put on the square one. So you push on either side and just slide that up, and the metal, it's just so well made. There's no sharp edges. It's not catching anywhere on the case, and you know, that just goes to show the amount of precision involved in making this watch. So when we put on the square case, you do have a sort of skeletonized look because you've got gaps on either corner, and again, that brushing present with the engraving on the side of the case. You know, it does really go well together. The center of the watch doesn't look out of place in any of the cases that I've put on this so far. No sharp edges, very angular case indeed, some nice detailing present, and you know, a lot goes into machining these kind of pieces. And again, you've got a B&R sort of looking watch. Now let's take this one off and put on the most extreme case in this 3 watch case collection. Okay, that comes off. Now we have the biggest case to try on and slot that over, and you know, it looks like something out of Transformers. You can see the cutouts and engravings at various parts of the case. By far the most detailed case in this collection. So let's start putting these on wrist and let's see how they look there. So the strap provided is a very soft silicone strap, and then you've got quick release spring bars, which, you know, I say the watch isn't as functional, but you know, they've looked at these little parts of the watch and made sure they are easily accessible. So let's try the big boy. So this is the Ciga M series. This is the biggest case and probably by far the most uncomfortable case. It sits quite flat, as you can see. It's just like a mini table on your wrist. Maybe you can put your glass of Coke on there, or you can, put various things, maybe your biscuits when you have your tea. But yeah, absolutely massive. Now, the X does look good, I have to say, even though you can't see the hands. I really would like to see the hands a different color just to make them stand out. I don't see why they couldn't have done it, just so you can read the time. But that is a nice visual, definitely. Like I said, time aside, even that bezel does sort of fit in there really well, but I just wish that rotated just to give it another dimension. So let's take that off. Let's try it on a different case. So here we have the square case. It does look like a really impressive sundial. I have to say that, this square case just gives you that impression. But looking at proportions, you can see the length of the case and the width seem to fit perfectly. I've got a 6.5-inch wrist, and there's no overhang, and it fits quite a lot better than the case before it. So I suppose you could get away with this. I've seen those guys that wear the diesel watches that are 4 times the size of this, and if they can pull that off, then there's people that can definitely pull this off. Now let's try the circular case. So now we've got the round hockey puck case, and yeah, again, fits well, and it does give the watch a really nice shape. Again, conforms to the main watch head as well, and that isn't too bad. Still looks quite large, but I'm sure of all watches that kind of look similar in size. But yeah, I just find it very difficult to get away from the actual hands, as I can't see the time. But looking at the watch through my camera top down, that X and everything around it does match. It does meet quite well. So I suppose that's a good thing. Now, time to check out the Loom. There is some Loom present. I know the Gorilla series had some nice Loom, but they could have done more. So let's check this one out and let's see what we have. So in terms of the Loom, you've got, these thin slithers of Loom applied to that center cog, which is the seconds, and you've got some thin Loom applied around the hour and the minute hand. It's kind of disappointing, considering the amount of work they've gone to the exterior of this watch and all the internal design. I would have loved to see that Loom on the X chassis and also on the circular outer floating chassis, and that would have made it look like a small watch inside a bigger watch, especially when it comes to looking at it from a Loom point of view, and that. That's what I'd expect, because with this, you're setting very high standards, very high expectations. So why, stop at the Loom and do it just in the center? And yeah, I think they definitely should do that with the Loom. So that whole design, whether it's day or night, kind of comes together. Okay, now it's time to summarize. And I'm not going to criticize the design. A lot of people have worked really hard on this, and this is what the watch is all about. It's meant to be absolutely balmy. It's meant to be out there. And for the most part, it has impressed me a lot in terms of how everything's been made and machined and put together. And a watch is all about precision, and there's definitely that theme of a high level of engineering and precision behind it. So fair play to Ciga Design for getting this out to us. The only thing I'd like to say is just that visibility, right? Everything else fits so well. The hands definitely need to be a different color, and that is also a chance for you to bring colorways in, maybe red, blue, green, orange, whatever you want to go for, just so you can tell the time, right? And then it's fine. Okay, like I said, it's for the eccentric within yourself to have one of these in your collection, just something totally crazy out there. But it's so intriguing looking at it and looking at all the little parts. Just a great thing to look at. Now, I did say in the unboxing that I have also the Z series in hand. Now I want to take this time to kind of not review it fully, because this had ample amount of reviews on YouTube a couple of years ago, but just to have a look at this in comparison. Now you see the hands, they are visible. So for a skeletonized watch, you still got some practical use. You've got visibility with the hour and minute, and also with the seconds hand. Now in and around the chapter ring, just look at that. You can see all the markings. You can see the hour markers individually as well, where you can set the time also. But at the same time, you've got the same theme. You've got that skeletonized chassis here. You've got that purpose-built watch. The screws, the aesthetics that you see here, that knurled crown, and you've got much more wearable dimensions. This is 41 millimeters in case diameter, 12 mil thickness with a 48 millimeter lug to lug. It does use that Seagull movement that I was talking about earlier. It's a 21,600 vibrations per hour movement. I think it's a ST255 or whatever, hacks and winds, and it's got like a 40-hour power reserve, so similar to NH35. And you've got the open heart at the center. You can see that escape wheel there. You've got your coil at the top. your mainspring, and the gears and cogs all line up. Of course, if you turn it around, you'll see the rotor as well. So this is probably, like I said, a lot more wearable, and it is slightly toned down, but it still has that crazy design element behind it. And this is what I think won them most of the awards as well. So, where's this and where's the other one? I think they need to kind of come in and meet somewhere in the middle where, you can still wear a watch, right? So let's put this on wrist. Let's see how that looks. A much better fit, rectangular case, and still that same message from Ciga is present all over the watch. Now this one will come in at $260 or around £216. It's available on the Amazon store, also the Ciga Design website. So if you want something from Ciga, or you like, let's say, the whole theme of Ciga, and you want that out there look, but you want something just a bit more toned down and wearable, definitely look at the Z series if this new M series isn't for you. But of course, this is not out yet, and you have to go to Indigogo. So that's it for me, guys. Hope you enjoyed that review. I hope you found this watch from Ciga Design as intriguing as I did. Even though it's not for you, it's something that you can definitely appreciate. So thank you as always for watching, and I will see you on the next video.